All right, welcome back. Back with a quick little review here, this time for South America as I make my way through all the regions. The only one left being China, which is going to be going up tomorrow, if you guys are at all curious about seeing that. Since their lower division is completely finished, I'm going to be covering the entirety of the lower division and maybe giving a little bit of a preview of the upper division if that's something that interests you guys. Maybe just going over and doing a brief little review of all of the roster changes that you may have forgotten about since it's been quite a long time since China has had their season. So yeah, without further ado, going to be doing this the same as usual, starting off in the upper division, talking about all the matches in the past week, then taking a look at the updated standings, and finally talking about some stats, whether that be win rates, top heroes, bad heroes, players, all sorts of stuff like that, and then having a little bit of a discussion about, maybe some players that are sticking out, maybe some teams that are sticking out for the right or wrong reasons, and then doing the same thing for the lower division. You guys know how this works, so without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. Starting off on December 9th, again, it's been quite a while since I missed week 2. We had Infamous taking SG Esports down 2-0. This was SG Esports' debut in this tour. They were the only team, I believe, in the entire upper division of every single region that had not played a single series yet after week 1. So they get greeted with a nice 2-0 loss. And who would have thought that things would end up spiraling even more out of control from here for them, as it's been a pretty rough couple weeks for them, that's for sure. Following that, on December 10th, we had King of Kings taking down No Ping 2-0. King of Kings have looked pretty good. They've been getting some pretty good wins against teams that against some of the weaker teams in this division. Not to take anything away from No Ping, they've been playing quite well themselves, but King of Kings has had their moments where they've looked pretty good against some good teams, like in their series against Beast Coast. They could have maybe even taken that series, or at least a game off of Beast Coast, but we'll have to see how it ends up going. We'll have to see if they're actually going to be able to maintain their spot at the top of the division right now, as if they end up playing against, or when they end up playing against Thunder Predator, I don't think that they'll have as good of a time, as I think Thunder Predator is playing some of the cleanest Dota in the entire region right now. Following that, we have Beast Coast taking down Lava 2-0. Lava has had a pretty mediocre season, to say the least. It has not been all that great for them. I think maybe there were some expectations that their team would do a little bit better, but they really have not gelled together as a team. Watching some of their replays and some of their live games, it really just feels like they should be winning at certain points of the game, and then nothing really comes of it, and the game kind of just falls out of their favor. So yeah, kind of underwhelming for them so far. And for Beast Coast, again, looking like one of the strongest teams in this region as per usual, and it's going to be exciting to see if they manage to stay top 2 and when they face off against Thunder Predator. Again, I think they're the best 2 teams in the division, and their records definitely show that. Following that, December 12th, speaking of which, we have Thunder Predator taking down SG Esports. So again, SG Esports kind of just getting beat around. Losing to Thunder Predator, there's no shame in that, again, with how good they've been playing, but things would not get better from there. Later that same day, we had Infamous taking down No Ping 2-1. Infamous showing that they're still pretty competitive. I think some people have pretty mixed feelings about Infamous. Some people feel like they're one of the worst teams in the division. Some people feel like they're maybe a little bit underrated. Well, right now, they've got a pretty healthy spot right there in 4th place with a nice even 2-2 record so far. Following that, December 16th, Lava takes down SG Esports. So even in all the struggles that Lava has been having to this point, SG Esports really just does not really look like a team that should be in this division so far. And they did go through a pretty significant amount of roster changes. They, of course, lost their roster that got them to TI-10. But yeah, it's going from bad to worse right now for SG Esports. On December 17th, Beast Coast takes down Hokori 2-0. To that point in the season, Hokori was actually 0-3. And if you recall correctly, Hokori was a team that I kind of went out on a limb on in my prediction video. I thought that they would be doing a little bit better. I didn't have them near the top or anything. I think I had them pegged at 4th place. But yeah, right now it's not looking like 4th place is very likely for them. Following that, we had Thunder Predator taking down Lava. Again, no shame in losing the Thunder Predator. They're playing it very, very well. And then on December 19th, we end things off with Hokori getting their first win of the season against Infamous, a team that I have already mentioned has been pretty solid this season. For the rough start that Hokori has had, this win's got to feel pretty good. They do still have a chance to go positive in their record if they win their next 3 series, but that is going to be pretty difficult. And then finally, to end things off, we have King of Kings taking down SG Esports. And this is where my concern kind of lies with King of Kings, is that they've played against some of the weaker teams in this division, and they've been getting pretty good results. Obviously, they're 3-1 so far, but they do drop a game to SG Esports, which is the only game so far that SG has won. And they have had their highlights against some of the better teams, but they just don't have that finish. And so I'm a little bit worried for them that they're going to drop out of the top 3. Not that it matters all that much, because you have to be top 2 to make the major in South America, but we'll have to see how these next 3 weeks go for King of Kings. Taking a look at the standings now, leading the way in the same spot as they were last time, we have Thunder Predator 4-0, and then following that in the same spot, second place, we have Beast Coast, who is 3-0. In third place, King of Kings are 3-1 so far. Of course, that only loss being to Beast Coast, so they're showing that they can beat some of the more middle of the pack teams in this division, just not quite the best teams yet. Infamous sitting at a very healthy 2-2 start so far. No Ping 1-2 so far, so kind of dropping a little bit after that pretty good start. They dropped down 3 spots since my last review. Hikori moves up 2 spots from my last review. They are now 1-3 so far with that win over Infamous. Lava stays in the same spot. They are also 1-3 right now. And moving down 3 spots all the way to last place is SG Esports. And SG Esports was technically 5th place in my last review. However, they had not played a single series yet, so they were just ahead of some of the teams that lost their first series. Well, now that they've actually played a few, and they've played 4, and they've lost all of them, they're sitting at the bottom right now. So yeah, all around rough time for SG Esports. For the other teams in this division, though, this division is still very much alive when it comes to the bottom. These teams near the bottom are not exactly eliminated yet. Pretty much everyone except for maybe King of Kings is still at risk of getting relegated, that being Infamous, No Ping, Hikari, and Lava, if we were to assume that SG Esports is going to be the first team getting relegated. So yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting watching these next few weeks, seeing which teams end up dropping down at the bottom, and when Beast Coast and Thunder Predator end up playing, seeing which team ends up at the top of the division, as I think the matchup there is really going to decide who is first place. I don't think there's anyone else in this region right now that is playing as well as Beast Coast and Thunder Predator. And I think if I had to put one above the other, I think Thunder Predator is just overall playing a lot cleaner Dota, which Beast Coast is not necessarily known for. They are a more chaotic stack, but again, it's going to be a real clashing of strategies here when they do end up playing against each other. Looking now at some stats, there have been 33 matches played in total, which is not very much. Only 3 series in the entire upper division so far have gone to 3 games. The rest of them have all been 2-0. In those 33 matches, Radiant has won 21 of them, Dire has won 12, and for first and last pick, first pick has won 17, and last pick has won 16. For top heroes, we have Terrorblade, who's 5-0 so far, Clockwork and Windranger, who are 4-0, and then Abaddon, who is 5-1 right now. For worst heroes, we have Brewmaster, 0-4, which is kind of funny. We haven't really been seeing that hero pretty much anywhere. Weaver and Queen of Pain, who are 1-4 each, and Void Spirit, who is 2-6. And for most banned, we have Weaver showing up with 26 bans. We have Monkey King with 18, and Invoker with 18 as well. So the ban list kind of looking like every other region. It's been kind of the same culprits for the entire season so far. For teams in the top GPM right now, we have Beast Coast leading the way with 2659, which is ridiculously high. Hector definitely playing a huge part in that. We have Kings following that with 2401, and then Thunder Predator with 2215. So their GPM is considerably lower than some of the other teams that are ahead of them, but they're winning their games a lot faster, so they don't really have as much time to start ramping up their GPM and XPM numbers as these other teams. Again, they're playing a lot cleaner and tighter Dota, I think. Following that, for XPM, we have Beast Coast leading the way again with 3,045. Again, very impressive. In general, anything above or close to 3K for Team XPM is very, very good. Kings are close to that as well with 2932. And then finally, Thunder Predator with 2686. Again, a big gap there. And for top KDA, Thunder Predator leading the way with 7.86. Following that, Beast Coast 4.49 and King of Kings with 4.22. Now looking at the top players of the region, for GPM, that is obviously going to be Hector, aka K1, like I was mentioning earlier, with an 802 GPM average, which is pretty insane. But again, with the length of some of Beast Coast games, it's kind of to be expected. And in general, with the reputation that a player like Hector has, he is going to farm up a storm if you give him the chance. Following that, we have Benny with 733 and Pakaz with 677. For top XP, we have K1 leading the way with 777. Then Benny with 744, and then Chris Luck with 713. And for top KDA, we have Pakaz, Dark Mago, and Oscar. 14.8, 12.0, and 11.85. So all around, Thunder Predator has some really impressive stats, but so do Beast Coast and King of Kings. Again, King of Kings have been playing against some of the weaker teams in the division. They have yet to play up against Thunder Predator right now. But, you know, there's no real reason for me to get too worried. They may drop down out of top 3, but all in all, with the way that they've been playing, they could very well hold it. I think finishing top 2 is a little bit out of their reach, especially with that series loss that they already have. It's going to be very hard to catch up to Beast Coast and Thunder Predator, but who knows? I've seen weird things. There could be some weird tiebreaker at the end, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think is the most surprising thing in this region so far. I've been having a lot of fun watching some of these teams, specifically Thunder Predator and Beast Coast, of course. They've been playing the best Dota in the region. But some other teams like Infamous have been really fun to watch. But I think a lot of the fun comes in the lower division of this region, and that takes me on to the next part of this video. There have been a lot of shining players that I'm really excited to see who ends up making it to the upper division, who starts to get a little bit more spotlight on them. And I'll talk about them more in depth as we go. So starting off with the matches here, on December 9th, we have Balrogs taking down G-Pride 2-0. This was a big series heading into it, as both of these teams got off to pretty solid starts. They were looking like 2 of the potentially like 4 teams that were looking to make it to top 2. And overall, Balrogs have a great series. They take them down. Following that, we have Omega beating Wolf 2-1. On December 11th, we have Interitus taking down Unknown 2-1. Unknown has had a pretty rough go of it as well. It has gone from bad to worse since last year. They finished bottom 2 in the upper division. They get relegated down to the lower division, and now they are winless once again. So, yeah, it's a pretty rough go for that org. Following that, December 12th, we have Infinity taking down Balrogs. Infinity, another one of those teams looking like they're definitely trying to finish top 2 right now, and they have a very impressive win over Balrogs to kind of keep themselves up ahead of them. We then have on December 13th, G-Pride taking down Wolf. G-Pride, notably their carry player now, has been one of my favorite players to watch in this region ever since I started watching the lower division at least more actively this time around. His overall game sense, his itemization, the way that he plays the map, I think has been really, really impressive. And I think that if he doesn't end up making it in the top 2 of this division and making it to the upper division, he's very likely going to get scouted if there is a big shuffle in South America's pro scene. He has been a very, very impressive player. There have also been a few notable ones. You'll see them a lot popping up on the leaderboard for top players. Berna, Parker, they've also been playing very, very well, but I think now overall is my current favorite to watch. Following that, December 16th, we have Omega taking down Inverse. It has been a rough couple weeks for Inverse as they take back-to-back losses in very quick succession. On the same day, Wolf beating Unknown 2-0. So even though Wolf having a lot of struggles to this point, even they're still able to beat Unknown. It really feels like Unknown is kind of like a free win to this point. Following that, December 18th, we have Infinity taking down Inverse. Again, Inverse having a real fall from grace here, but you're losing to Infinity, who has looked like the strongest team in this region so far. So no real shame in that, I guess. December 19th, G-Pride takes down Inverse as well. So right there, in just the span of 4 series, Inverse loses 3 of those 4 series because they obviously didn't play in the 4th one. So yeah, it has been a real rough couple weeks for Inverse. After a pretty decent start, I wouldn't say it was an amazing start, but there was hope. And finally, ending things off, Balrogs taking down Omega 2-0. So overall, taking a look at the standings, not a lot of movement really at all. Only 2 teams making some movement. Starting off, we have Infinity leading the way in first place. They stay there from my last review. They are currently 4-0. Again, looking like the strongest team in this region. Just overall, the whole team really coming together really, really well. For second place, staying in the same spot, we have Balrogs and G-Pride, who are still tied for second. They are both 3-1 right now. In fourth place, staying in the same spot as last time, we have Interitus, who is 2-1. Moving up 1 spot into 5th place, we have Omega, who is 2-2. Staying in the same spot in 6th place, we have Wolf, who is 1-3 so far. So again, Wolf really struggling, but they did get that win over Unknown, which might end up paying dividends when it comes to avoiding relegation, as they are not quite safe yet. But this next team dropping 3 spots to 7th place inverse definitely helps Wolves' case. Again, it's been a really rough couple weeks for them. They dropped down to 1-4 so far, and now they are looking like they are at risk for relegation. They only have 2 series left, and it's really important that Inverse wins those next 2 series if they want to avoid it. And sitting in last place, same as last time I did my review, Unknown, 0-4 to this point. I believe they only have 1 actual game win, and that was against Interitus, which is a team that's been doing pretty well, but all in all, just not playing all that great for Unknown. Looking now at some stats for the region. In total, there have been 36 matches played in these past 3 weeks. For Radiant, they have 21 wins and 15 losses. And for first pick and last pick actually takes it with 19 wins out of 36 games. For top heroes, leading the way, we have Lena, who is 5-1 so far, then Disruptor, 6-2. Disruptor is a hero that's been getting picked probably the most in all of the regions and all divisions in South America's lower division, and has looked pretty good in those games. And then Weaver, 8-3. So again, Weaver kind of mixed results depending on where you look, but all in all, very popular, very strong hero in the meta. It's been having a lot of success in South America's lower division. For worst heroes, however, we have Legion Commander, who was 0-6. This hero had one of the worst win rates the last time I did my review, and still has one of the worst ones, still without a win. And yet she's one of the most banned heroes in the region, which I'm having a hard time kind of grasping. It's possible that teams just feel like they can beat it when they're giving it to a weaker team, and so the weaker team is kind of baited into taking this hero that is usually banned, and then they just get beaten by it. That's something that does happen, but regardless, hero has not looked very good so far. Speaking of other heroes that have not looked good so far, Lion, 0-5, and Gyrocopter, 3-10. For most banned, we have Weaver with 25. So Weaver gets picked 11 times, banned 25 out of 36 games. It has been contested in every single game, and when it is not banned, it looks pretty good. We then have Mars with 20, and then Legion Commander with 19. So Legion Commander gets picked up or contested in 25 out of the 36 games, and doesn't really have the win rate to back it up. So kind of funny. For top GPM, Infinity with 2379. We then have G Pride with 2360 and Balrogs with 2273. For top XPM, we have G Pride with 2996, almost at that 3K mark, so close. Balrogs with 2804 and Infinity with 2795. And then for top KDA, we have Infinity with 6.96, G Pride with 4.35, and Balrogs with 3.66. Now for the top players in GPM, we have Parker leading the way with 775, Berna with 736, and HFN with 674. For top XPM, we have Parker leading the way once again with 766. We then have Now, who was the carry player I was talking about earlier, with 749, and then Berna with 737. And for top KDA, we have PP with 14.5, we have Parker with 11.14, and we have Mariano with 8.76. All those players on Infinity, which is definitely a big reason why Infinity's been having so much success. All of their core players are playing some of the best Dota in the region, in the division at least. And yeah, these guys should be finishing top 2. If they don't, it would be a really, really big choke, as they do have a pretty nice lead ahead of the teams behind them. So yeah, all in all, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been my review of South America's first 3 weeks of Dota. I'm really excited about this upper division. I can't wait to see who ends up kind of moving up and down on this board, who ends up getting relegated, and if any teams are going to be able to catch Beast Coast and Thunder Predator. At the pace they're setting right now, it looks pretty unlikely, but King of Kings are right behind them with 3-1 so far. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, tomorrow is my China review. Feel free to check that out, and I'll talk to you guys later.